Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Guido, and today what we're going to do is I'm going to explain to you the numbers and exactly when you should hire a closer or a setter to get your business to the next level. And the reason why I'm making this video is because a lot of people tend to hire a setter or a closer too fast before their business has stabilized. And so whenever the closer or setter comes in and things don't work out, they don't know exactly how to diagnose it and how to tell what is the issue. If it's the closer, the setter, or if it was the business in the first place. Now, it's still possible to do that, right? You can hire and still like solve as you go, but to attract the best type of talent and to be able to do things a little bit more smoothly, it's best to hold off and make sure the business is stabilized so you know exactly what to fix. If you hire somebody and it doesn't work out, right, then it's clearly the person or more than likely your management. So let's get straight into it. By the way, my name is Guido. I help businesses build sales teams and AI systems so they can scale to 50K per month and beyond. So basically convert the attention that they're already getting on social media into calls and then into clients consistently, and then making sure the delivery on the back end is structured to be able to support that. So if you want to learn how to do that exactly, feel free to subscribe below and leave a like if this video is helpful. So let's get straight into it. Let me share my screen here. So I'm going to show you just some examples of numbers, different numbers based on, what you could be looking at in terms of your business. So first of all, I'm going to share the worst kind of numbers that you could have in your business. Let's say 10%, show rate 50%, and then close rate 10%. And then, yeah, exactly. So and just by the way, let me just explain from left to right, okay? On the right side here, these are the percentages and then the price. So to dictate like what are the ratios between the information that we're looking at, okay? So booking rate right now is at 5%, meaning from all the leads that you get, you're booking 5% of those. Keeping rate 10%, meaning from all the calls that you book, you're keeping 10%. Show rate is 50%, meaning all the calls that you book end up and you keep 50% end up showing up. And close rate, of course, is all the people that show up on the calls, 10% close. And then the price is $2,000. Okay. So these are the numbers that we have, the ratios. Then on the left side here, we have the representation of what that looks like in the business. Okay. And so the number to look at here in the left side, we got leads, booked, qualified, taken, closed, and revenue. So it kind of goes from top to bottom, biggest number to smallest number, right? And the second column here represents these numbers on a monthly basis, right? To generate 50K in revenue. Let's put this in money so it's understandable. This one too. And then on the right side here is 80% of these numbers. Why 80? Well, basically, when you hire a closer and a setter and you have a sales team, their efficiency compared to yours, if you were doing their job, is about 80% of what you would do. Now, it's possible to go beyond that. Not saying that that's a must, but usually that's the case. One, because they're not, they're not you, so they don't understand the avatar as well as you do because you've been selling them for a long time. And but also it's because when they show up on the calls, the closer particularly, well, it's not you, right? So the authority is not as close as if it were you on the call. So naturally, there's going to be a little bit of drop off of performance, and so that's why I want to represent here. And the reason why I want to do this is because if you hire too early and your own numbers are not that high, when you then go and hire a sales team, they're only going to do 80%. So if it's already low, it's going to be even lower and it's not going to work out. And it's going to be really hard for you to predict, of course, where the issue is coming from. So let's look at these numbers now. Let's say the price is 2K, which is really low. It's like that's not even high ticket. Close rate 10, 50, 10, 5, right? And let's say we want to make 50K in revenue. Remember, this is revenue. It's not even cash collected, right? So that also makes a difference. So what that means is that with all these ratios, you would need 100,000 leads a month, which is a lot. Like it's a ton. You would need to book 5,000 calls from that. From those 5,000 calls, you would need to keep about 10%, right? That would be the corresponding, and then take half of those and then close 10%. That's how you would make $50,000 contracted. This is horrible. Okay. By the way, this is the worst case scenario. And then on the 80%, right, that would reflect into 80,000 leads. So this is not actually accurate. You would need more leads to compensate, right? So actually, it's like 80% of the performance. So I need to change this up a little bit. If it's 80%, that means it would be, let's say 1.2 on top, right? And that would reflect in all others to just be able to make the same $50,000. Exactly. Actually, this would be as well $50,000. Anyways, you get the point, right? It's a little bit, it's going to be less. And what matters then is how can you decide then when to actually get people on board, right? Well, it's when these numbers look a lot healthier than this. Let's start with the top. If you're only booking 5% of the leads you're getting, it's very low. You need at least 10%. So let's say average, right? Let's do like worst metrics, average metrics, and then really good metrics. Okay. So 10% is solid. Keeping rate, if you're keeping about 30% of the calls, that's solid. Show rates, if you have like 65% show, that's starting to get more solid depending on the niche you're in. Close rate being 10%, let's say it's 15%, that's starting to be a little bit better. And then price, let's say it's 3,500. Right? See how much that completely changes. Now you only need 4,800 leads. 10% of those, right, being 488 booked per month is a lot easier. 147 kept, so qualified calls, 95 taken, and then 14 closed per month. Right, that's a lot easier. Right, still, again, this is revenue, so it's not collected up front. Then they still have to pay the installments, but it's a lot better. And then 80% of that, it's still a good amount, but it's 17 closes. Right, it's not too bad. So that's average, right? We're getting better, but it's still not amazing. We still have to close 14 to make 50K in revenue. If you wanted to make 100K, you would need to close 28. And that's a lot for one closer. Because what I recommend is up to 100K per month in cash collected to make to have one setter and one closer max, right? So you need to keep that in mind. Okay, so now let's look at an amazing situation. Okay, one of my clients is in this case in most of these metrics. So let's say 25% booking rate, keeping rate of let's say 50%, show up rate of 85% instead, and then close rate of 25%, and then the price is 6,250. Okay, look at this. It's way better, right? With all these metrics, you really only need 300 leads a month, which is a lot less. That's like 80 a week or whatever it is. You only need to book 75 a month, which is very little. Like that's doable. Keep 38, right? Take 32. So you take a lot of those. And then from there, close 8. Like closing 8 is not difficult. A month, right? So that's 2,468. So it's 2 a week. And if you want to double that to make 100K, it's 16. So it's 4 a week. That's doable. Absolutely doable. So you see how massively these make a difference. And then when you bring on a closer, right, and setter, they can replicate that by needing maybe a little bit more numbers, but they can still make it happen. And so that's why I personally believe it's a lot better to just raise this as much as possible before you bring on a sales team, right? And most importantly, doing that for like 2 to 3 months, right? Making good money because you don't have to pay anybody out, right? And getting good at sales yourself a little bit. Not obsessively, right? We don't want to become like gods at sales, even though it's not a bad skill to have, but just enough so you know how to replicate and manage those people, or at least you know that it's possible for your business. And then once you plug somebody in, if they're not working out, well, then it's because of them, right? And then either it's your management or you have to hire somebody else. And that's really it. Hopefully that was helpful for this video. Again, if you want to get to 50K per month or beyond and have a sales team placed for you and managed for you, and also AI systems completely set up for you so that you can create content automatically without having to record anything, both for stories and reels, and also having your entire backend structured so that you can actually bring on these 16 people a month, then subscribe below, and I'll see you soon.